Well, I will never agree with anybody disrespecting the flag of the United States of America or our country. Let me just tell you what I see or what I feel when the national anthem is played and when I look at the flag of the United States. I envision my two grandfathers who fought for this country during World War II, one in the Army and one in the Marine Corps, both risking their lives to protect our country and to try to make our country and this world a better place. So every time I stand with my hand over my heart, looking at that flag and singing the national anthem, that's what I think about.
We had to fight to get a meal, yeah. Wrongfully accused, we had to fight to get appeals. That's why we right to get a deal. He on the team, he gotta eat, you know, despite the skills. Keep it riding for the fam, you gotta light the wheels straight up. But in the past bad, work up in the trash bag. I'll pass a lot to take the test before I pass class. And my family needed bread, I had to come correct. That's why I keep airing it out like I just passed gas.
Drew Brees, Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl MVP, owns 1,000 NFL records. I would say a leader in the community, came out, made a strong statement. As an NFL player, anyone with a platform, we understand how powerful our words are. To me, when I saw that, it seemed like he wanted to make that statement. He wasn't put in a box. He wasn't put in a corner. I was hurt. And then I was a little confused. And the question that I had walking away from my phone, watching that video was, is this the epitome of white privilege?
I think it's the epitome of somebody being insensitive to what's going on around them. Like you mentioned, there's no way he doesn't know or understand what's going on in this country today, right? And I know I have close friends that have played with him in New Orleans, spoke very highly about him. And so, you know, you kind of want to give him the benefit of doubt and you want to say, hey, you know, maybe he misspoke. But then when you look back at his track record, you look back at his history, not speaking wrongly about topics like this, just about how he addresses the media. Always clean cut, always polished, an ambassador for the NFL. You know, very careful when he chooses his words. So throw ignorance out, because for the last 4 years, there's no way that he didn't know what's been going on, right? You throw insensitive in, and he doesn't understand that when you make a comment like that, it halts the movement, because there are a bunch of people that are just waiting for somebody to bring that topic up again to make that the headline.
And somebody like Drew Brees.
Yeah,
because
make it up to the top.
To me, it personifies exactly what they did when Colin Kaepernick first started kneeling in 2016. He hijacked or attempted to hijack the movement by creating awareness to social justice and inequality in America. That was what the movement was about. But what they turned it into is it's anti-American. This is about patriotism. This is about making America great again. And it's dog whistles and code words and things, patriotism, that people use in order to rally their base. And it makes me have to wonder, who does Drew Brees feel like his base is? And while he might do a lot of things positive for the New Orleans community and the community around the world, his priority is still to his base.
That's where I found it odd, though, because if you really think about it, when Colin Kaepernick initially started to kneel, it was to pay homage and respect to those who fought for that flag. It was a guy from the armed forces, military, I'm not sure, that spoke with him and asked him, hey, why are you sitting doing the national anthem? And he said, well, I'm trying to silence, protest about something I believe in that's not happening. And I'm seeing way too many videos and seeing people go through stuff that I'm not experiencing, but others who don't have a voice. So he said, well, if you don't mind kneeling, that would show me and the guys that fought for that flag a little respect. and gratitude. So he said, you know what? You're right, and I'm sorry. I would kneel. So how him kneeling to pay homage and respect got to him disrespecting these guys and all the people that fought for that flag. When you think about our ancestors that fought for that same flag, this country, that came back, that was arrested, killed, and not given those promises that was given to them before they went out there to fight.
No GI Bill.
Beaten for being proud about wearing their uniforms.
Something about your granddads and what they did, and we're still sitting here today in 2020. After what we just went through these weeks of these killings, how could you sit there and say that? If you didn't know then when Colin Kaepernick was doing it, you know now. So how could you say that?
But Drew Brees felt the same way 4 years ago. He was one of those players who had no issue saying, don't disrespect the flag. So this isn't a new position for Drew Brees, right?
He also knelt too, which
it's people
mind-blowing.
It's people not wanting to take a part in the conversation.
The NFL wants to say that the external community made it about the flag. And the NFL perpetuated that.
No.
I was in meetings with NFL leaders, and they said, well, it got hijacked. No, you let it get hijacked.
Hold on. Before you go on, so S.A. Iguodala, president of House of Athlete, spent the last 7 years at the NFL office or in the NFL. So to say that she knows, she had a seat at the table.
I mean, absolutely. We are the most powerful sports entity in the country. And you can argue one of the most powerful in the world. So there is nothing that can be hijacked from the NFL. We let things be hijacked, right? And it was a conscious decision to let the narrative be told, because we said our base is on the other side of this and we don't want to alienate them. And so they found themselves in a conundrum. But what
your workforce is
exactly,
black,
exactly.
But your base.
So you're making a choice.
Yes.
What we wanted you to say was all money isn't good money, right? So what we want you to say is, who are you as a corporate citizen? And if there is a base or a majority of your base doesn't believe that Black Lives Matter, and you're saying we don't want to alienate them, you are in fact saying that Black lives don't matter to you. And patriotism has long been a cloak for racism, oppression, and frankly, the indifference to Black lives. So white people tend to say that we fought for this country, as if they have a monopoly on the love of our country, as if Black people can't say, I love my country, but I want her to treat me better. We're not afforded that right. It's either or.
Black people built the country.
Exactly.
And we also fought for the country from the Civil War.
Absolutely.
It is just as much ours
so when they say
as
my
it is
father,
theirs. Everybody else's,
yeah,
not theirs.
My father, my granddad.
See, even that, like I just said, it is just as much ours as it is theirs. When I should have said it is just as much ours as it is everybody else's.
Exactly.
Things brainwash you,
yeah,
right? From the media and all type of different things. But I agree with you guys.
They talk about like World War II as if we weren't there, right? Like when you hear him
Civil
say that,
War, like we weren't there.
He's inferring like, well, my ancestors, we fought really hard for this, and you guys should be grateful, as if we didn't fight next to you, and as if our grandfathers and our fathers didn't come back to broken promises that we fought for. So they don't want to acknowledge that because it does a disservice to the narrative.
But does it matter if they acknowledge it? Like, why are we so upset with Drew Brees right now for speaking his mind? Because this is the land of the free. Yeah. Omar, you're a writer, right? Like, you can write whatever you want. You can say whatever you want. There's been some stories you crushed me on when I first got to the Dolphins.
Listen.
But hold on. Let me make my point, though, Why are we crushing Drew Brees? That's what he believes in. Yeah. Let that man use his platform to stand on what he believes on.
And he did. And he has the right to. But the community also has the right to produce the consequences.
We do, but it's a waste of energy.
Hold on.
It's a waste of time. Let me tell you why. Because we need to take that energy to the system. Because we should be saying, thank you, Drew Brees, for showing us who you really are.
Bingo.
Like, now I know who I'm in a huddle with.
That's
now
what I was about to say.
Who I'm in a locker room with.
You can't make that comment.
Yeah.
And then be in a foxhole with
yeah.
Exactly.
You can't listen.
He's not the only quarterback that's been called out this week.
Hold on. You have a right to believe what you believe, but when you look at the majority of his teammates, their ethnicity, their skin color,
70%.
Yeah.
You can't make that comment and be in a foxhole with me.
So with that said, I don't mean to cut you off. As a teammate, if you was a teammate, how do we go on to play this season knowing how he really
If
felt.
this was 4 years ago when Cap first took a knee, we can move on. We're good at moving on. We're good in the NFL and the NBA of eliminating distractions. We're good. But right now what's
The
going
conflict,
on?
the
When
conflict.
the entire world is protesting this. When this is what we're talking about and this is the movement and you make that statement, I don't think you can move
But
on.
here it is.
I don't think you
The
can.
conflict is you have a job, you have a profession,
Yeah.
you have a family, you got to provide for.
But that's the point.
That's why I think when Can't Guard Mike sent out that tweet, that was powerful. He gets the ball from this man at all times. Yeah. And he basically said, like, look, here's my problems, here's my struggle. You call me your brother, you say you love me. Everybody, blood, sweat, and tears, all that in the locker room. But then when we leave this facility, I'm on my own. If you're not my brother on the outside, I can't be your brother on the inside.
I care about you, but I don't necessarily care about your people.
Exactly.
And it's the problem
But
is,
it's you as well though too. Like I've seen, all the Instagram videos that are going out right now. I'll tell you the most powerful one that I saw was I can't remember the young man's name. I apologize, but in Torrance, California, from the time he got pulled over to the time that he was shot and killed took 15 seconds. I'll be honest with you. I always felt like, you know what? I get pulled over by cops, I'm good. You know why? Because they probably ran my plates. They know who I am. I'm Gucci. You know what? Even if they get to my car, they're going to look at me, see my status, look at my car, this and that, look at my neck, blah, blah. Okay, they're going to know because I'm a pro athlete, this and that. Okay, he's not one of the harmful ones, right? When I saw this video, this man had got pulled over. 15 seconds later, he was dead. He didn't get a chance. And so I saw that. I'm like, dang. This is an opportunity where I get pulled over. The cop might not check my plate. He comes up to my window. He feels threatened just because I'm black or what.
Wow.
And it changed.
You're a big black man. That's why you're a threat and the scariest thing in society today.
Ever.
And an educated big black man.
That's what it is. When if you think about in the past, we were big. They said we were big, we were strong, we were athletic, we were angry, we were aggressive. Now you look at social media, it gives individuals a platform. Now they're saying we're compassionate, we're intelligent.
Fathers.
We're fathers, we're all these different things.
Husbands, businessmen.
On the low, you created the supreme being. You already said we were bigger, stronger, faster, and more aggressive than you. But now everybody gets to see that we're just as intelligent, given the same opportunities we can do just as what everybody else does. So that, honestly, I believe that is the biggest threat.
And now the
that's
new
biggest
challenge
threat.
is to hold back those opportunities. And you see it, the NFL is a reflection of that. Look, for decades, they've held back black quarterbacks. Yeah. Now, two are the face of the NFL. And, that makes people uncomfortable.
Yeah.
They are uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And
not only that,
do you
they
really
black
feel
and
that
they
as a
act,
writer?
they
oh,
out there
absolutely.
acting black.
I know for certain, talking to people through Patrick Mahomes and think about what Lamar Jackson.
Oh,
Yeah.
scared.
Think about-
He's scared. He's
Imagine
scared
what they
everything.
talked
So,
about. He
yeah.
won the Heisman.
So Omar Kelly, you've been covering sports for how long?
20 years.
20 years down here in Miami.
Yes.
Miami.
I
born
covered
and-
Florida State when Anquan Bolden was forced to move from quarterback to wide receiver. That's Peter Warrick was a quarterback, had to move to wide receiver. This has long been, Santana, this has long been in the lines. Black quarterbacks never got that opportunity 15 years ago.
So as someone on the beat, you have to have relationships with the players and you have to have relationships with the owners, right? How is it that we're in 2020? The Rooney Rule was put in place in 2002.
Yes.
2002 to protect the NFL first and then the black minority. There was 3 head coaches then. They're black head coaches. Now there's still 4 only.
They made progress and then they regressed.
Yes.
And what they didn't do is they didn't assess and analyze why they regressed and why they didn't make progress. And it was because they didn't do enough. Or, everybody, y'all know the NFL is a buddy system.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely a buddy system.
That is the epitome of what the league is. And the people in power want to do whatever they need to ensure that they remain in power. I was having this conversation with Tanner about, hey, don't just think about coaching. They need more people who formerly played and also people of color in the front offices, in the scouting departments. Because the truth of the matter is a lot of the people who are running these teams and organizations, they don't know football.
Yeah.
They just been hooked up by their buddy and rose to power because they knew how to shake the right hands and do and say the right things in politics.
Which is in corporate America.
Yeah.
Right?
It's all about relationships, but I think it's also about building that pipeline, right? So the NFL thought that this was just going to start happening organically. All right, we got a few, and now everybody's going to be okay with hiring black. And then years pass, and we realize, oh, white owners are not hiring blacks organically. They're not seeing that. And they keep changing the definition of the job description. At first, you had to be a coordinator. And then you look at people being hired that you were never a coordinator. So you have black coaches in the pipeline like, well, what is the process? What do I need to do? You keep moving the goalposts on me, right? And the NFL hasn't stepped in. They know that vanity interviews have been happening where you interview the interim coordinator that you know is not going to get the job, but you check the box. Nobody's asking questions.
What is the reason, though? Is it the optics of
The reason is they fear the NFL becoming the NBA, which is a league run by black people, and the players have control. They'll never let you have power and control. In the NFL, these are 32 of the richest people in the world, the most powerful people in the world. And the last thing they want to do is to let a black athlete or a black man have ultimate power over their league.
So our league
but you think about the NBA, they're thriving, right? They're thriving.
But they have a different base. And you have to understand, and that's one thing that I like to point out. You know, they want to hold football players to the same accountability that, you know, NBA players can do. And it's different. NBA players make more money. A lot of them don't need another
so they
game
can
check.
get together
Yeah.
and 15 guys can sit down and say, hey, this is how we're going to move. In the NFL locker room, you got 63 guys.
But they also have more autonomy. There's not that many football players that can go without a game check. It's just not. NBA players, they don't care. Try to tell LeBron what to do. How can you tell LeBron what to do when he's making $100 million from Nike? You can't.
It's funny that you mention that because I remember when Colin Kaepernick first started protesting in 2016. I remember talking to players in the locker room about when the protest first started and privately and like, okay, why aren't you kneeling? Why aren't you joining the 4 others that are participating in the protest? Because they're down for the cause. But you know what they said? Colin Kaepernick's already got his money. My future, he's a quarterback. My future is not guaranteed. And the minute I do this, I'm putting a batch of people that they're trying to push out the league. And if you look at what's happened to the players, majority of them, with few exceptions, have been pushed out.
So I was playing during that time, and I was in New York playing with the Jets. And I remember when it first broke, as a leader in the locker room, right? Like we're trained, like let's keep the locker room together. Yeah. So Nick Mangold, Ryan Fitzpatrick, myself, and Cromartie, Darrell Revis, and a few others got together and was like, okay, how do we keep our locker room together? What do we do to move forward, right? And I remember being in that situation, and the first thing that came to my mind, and I'm just being honest, was I got a mom that don't work. I got a sister with 4 kids that don't work, and I've been taking care of for 10 years. If I take this knee, what will happen? And I remember feeling so broken and so hurt that was the first thing that hit my mind. Do I kneel for the entire community, or do I stand for my mom, my brother, and my sister? And looking back on it, I am ashamed that I didn't take that knee. But I am so excited now about what the video that just came out with the NFL players, because now I feel like they don't have to make that decision. They don't have to think about that anymore. If they want to take a knee, you think Nike's going to drop them?
One of the things you just said that hit home with me is the same thing that I feel now. Someone has asked me why I'm not silently protesting, why I didn't go walk with the people. And the first thing I said is, I got people that depend on me to make ends meet and make sure that they're living the life that, you know, that I presented to them, and I can keep this going. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm for the cause, but I don't want to be out here that my silent protests go wrong and they think that I'm one of these guys that's doing something other than what I'm really trying to get, the message I'm trying to get across, and I lose my life for that. So that goes back to being free.
To add to what both of you said, during that time, I was actually covering the Dolphins, and I was asked on air would I've taken a knee, would I've kneeled. I said no, right? I'm in there, all white cast. They just assume because I'm black, I'm going to automatically choose. And I said no. I said the reason is there wasn't a plan behind it. Me personally, I'm down to go down for the cause. Like once you lay it out, here's what it is, here's what we gonna do, bam, this is what it is. I'm ready to ride all the way. But now if you're doing something without a plan and then you expect me to jump on that and jeopardize, I've created a nice little bubble for me and my family and jeopardize that. And then 2 months later, something else is new on Instagram. And then now that's lost and that's forgotten.
Yeah.
But now all those doors are closed to me because I was a part of this movement. I'm not going to be a part of that. So what I think is you want to protest, you want to do all these different things, but there has to be a plan. There has to be a strategy. And you have to give people the confidence to know and feel that me risking what I've built and what I've gained and what I've earned isn't gonna be wasted because there's a plan and there's a strategy.
Yeah, but then we can go back to the 60s, right? Like we have some amazing leaders now, but we need to galvanize our community because back then you could look at, there was Martin Luther King and there was Malcolm X, right? We had someone that we can look to. So to your point,
We still have somebody we can look to.
We need that person, whether we're talking about sports, who's going to stand up and really lead the way.
But think about this with
Colin
the
Kaepernick
kneeling.
did lead the way.
Wait. Think about this
He
with the
led
kneeling.
the way, but what was his strategy? And that's a narrative that no one's
but
talking
think
about. A
about-
lot of players feel like there was not a plan or a
Think
strategy
about the
in
kneeling,
place.
right? Okay, he kneeled, right? Hey, get together. Hey, fellas, this is what we're going to do. We're going to kneel. We're going to start getting attention, and then here's the next move. All right. What happens if when we kneel, they just decide to not show the players on the sideline? What's our next move? We're going to do this. All right, what's we going to do this? We're going to let me know that once it start, we're going to finish.
Yeah.
Because if we're going to start and then, because we already, it's like insurance, it's like anything else in the world. They just drag you out and try to tire you out.
That's true.
You have to give me the confidence that we're not going to get tired. Even right now with all the protests going on, Instagram and this and that in the streets, in the city, right now it's hot and it's heavy because it's coronavirus, things is locked down, people is broke, there's nothing to do, people ain't at work. What happens when everything gets opened up? You can go back to South Beach, you can work, you got money in your pocket, you talking about flights, everybody talking about Vegas, everybody.
Taking a vacation.
Are you going to continue to keep going or are you going to be distracted? So, and that's what they hope and they wait for.
Going back to 2016, 2017, playing with the Jets, then going to the Giants. Every week, there was a discussion in the locker room. What are we going to do? Every single week, we had the same discussion.
But
right?
that discussion
you had 4 or 5
wasn't
guys
about
that wanted to hold
change.
the fists up. You had 4 or 5 guys that wanted to kneel. You had 4 or 5 guys that wanted to get the whole team to interlock arms. You had 4 or 5 guys that wanted everybody to step into the middle of the field.
But
Odell
that's
Beckham
fake.
Jr., Saquon Barkley, DeAndre Hopkins. I can go on and on and on. They just released a video a couple days ago. They called out the NFL. If this was me, would you care? And then they told the NFL, we want you guys to stand up on your platform, say Black Lives Matter. We want you guys to say that you are against racism. And they went on and on and on. 5 hours later, the NFL released a statement saying almost everything. So my question is, do you think that conversation that was happening in 2016, 2017 in the NFL locker room is actually going to happen now? Like, I feel like it's not. Like, I feel like now players are like, whatever we got to do, we're going to do.
I think the thing that hit the fan, though, when it comes down to what happened to George Floyd, it's open now. You can't act like you don't see it. You can't act like you don't understand where we're coming from now. That's why I said I found it odd when Drew Brees spoke the way he did because, look, I'm okay I'm one of those guys. I'm not the judge or the jury, and I believe in those second chances. And so, like, as a player, if I'm in that locker room with a guy like that, okay, I heard what you said first. I heard how you replied. Now I need to see action. Now I need to see you. And I don't necessarily need to see you on the front line or next to me.
Yeah,
I need to
when
see
it's
you
real,
educate
when it's
these
fake.
people.
Yeah, but that's easy.
walk
Go
with
back-
you.
Go back
that's
to your.
easy.
But no, this is what I'm
That's
saying,
perfect
though.
right there. Go back
But
to
this is
them.
what I'm saying, though.
Listen, don't go into the black communities and do that. No.
Bingo. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
He's so big in our league to where he needs to be up in those front offices talking now for us.
I like that.
Yeah.
You know what? You done said a mouthful.
Even in the areas of New Orleans, the white areas of New Orleans, you got to think these young 8, 9-year-old kids aspire to be him. Yeah. He needs to go back there and educate them on the situation.
I reached out to Drew a couple days ago. I reached out to Drew. I texted him. I said, "Hey, bro, would love to have you on our show. You know, I'm disappointed in you. I looked up to you. I only spent a month with you when I was with the New Orleans Saints. Spent a month with you. Totally respect you." I said, "I lost all respect." And I said,
You reached out to him?
Yeah, but I reached out to him. I texted him, and he texted me right back.
Oh.
He said, "Bro, I appreciate how you reached out to me." He said, "You know what? I want my actions moving forward to show who I am. Like, I can say it over and over again." And this is what I said to Drew. I said, "Drew, it ain't about your actions. I said, it ain't about your actions. Like, we don't care about
how much
we
money
don't
you
care
give
about
in.
what you do in the community because you already said what you believe."
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? Like, we need you now going back to your community, telling people are going into the front
What I
office.
believed was
Yeah.
wrong.
That's what we
Yes.
need.
Correct.
That's what we need.
That's what we
Desperately.
need.
And say you're a part of the problem.
And then also, but here's the most powerful thing about it. Thank you, Drew, for saying
Bingo.
how you feel.
Bingo.
Yes.
But why we need to talk about that is because by us talking about that, you're going to educate me on maybe 1 or 2 things, but I'm going to educate you on a lot of things about this
Black
movement,
experience.
about this, right?
Yeah.
And through that, people in your community will actually learn something.
I agree with you. There's a lot of talking that needs to get done, and people need to talk and listen more than they talk and communicate. You know, for me, I had to share my personal experience growing up in Carroll City, Tana. We went to school together, and it was a rough and difficult experience in childhood. And I didn't realize that not everybody is subjected to things that I had to endure, see, experience. You know, just talking about my school, I shouldn't be in a school where we can single-handedly count the good teachers in that school that helped me prepare to go to college instead of the people who were babysitting me. And that is the Black experience. But people don't see that. They need to see it. They need to understand it. I wrote a column in my newspaper that ran on 1A, and I generally don't like to write about race. And the reason I don't like to write about race is because anytime I write about race, I will be attacked by the racists. And that threatened and life threatened, and they used to
You have to be biased against your own people.
Yeah, and they do that to teach me, hey, you speak up against race, we're going to attack you. And so I've always had to tone down my Blackness, and it's an uncomfortable space to not be who you are. And as you said something, be unapologetically Black.
That's powerful, bro. I'm gonna be honest with you. Yeah, in the places that we've been and the areas we occupied, like, we had to tone down our Blackness.
Absolutely.
Even
Go
learning
ahead,
from
yeah.
essay, like, I never knew a Black woman had to think about how they wore their hair going into corporate America. That never crossed my mind as a man, right? And even as a professional athlete, as a writer, right? Like, we got to think about, like, man, like, if I'm actually myself, what will that do to the people around me or above me, right? And that's true, man. Like, we got to be comfortable embracing who we are.
If you are not yourself, what is the point of getting into the room? You're in rooms that a lot of people that look like you are not in. So you're not educating white people on how to interact with a real Black person. Because when you suppress yourself, guess what? When the next person that comes in an interview, they're going to be like, oh, this person's a lot, because you haven't been yourself. So they're not used to working with top talent that's very good at what they do, but they're unapologetically Black. So when I got to the NFL, I was very intentional about wearing my hair out. I was intentional about interviewing with my natural hair because I don't want you to hire me with me suppressing my blackness, because I want you to hire me in my whole self, right? I want you to hire a Black woman. I want you to know how a Black woman talks, a Black woman from the Midwest talks, a Black woman that went to 2 HBCUs talks, because now when you talk to other people and when you interact with them, you're going to be more comfortable because you're like, okay, I've worked with Essay.
Yeah.
She went to HBCU. She's dope. And she's Black. So I'm more comfortable with working with Black people. We get into those white spaces and we erase ourselves. And you think that you're getting by, but you're doing yourself a disservice, and you're certainly doing the people that come after you a disservice.
Like 2 weeks ago, I randomly thought about exactly what you said. I was that guy when I would come to South Beach, go to bars and restaurants, this and that, and then I would see other Black dudes show up, sagging pant, gold tee, huh? I'm like, man, you messing it up for us.
Yeah.
Real talk. That was my mindset. You messing
Yeah.
it up, bro. You could clean up this and that. Then I started thinking, why do we have to
Change who we are.
change who we are? Like, listen, if you're not causing problems, if you're not violent, and you're gonna pay your bill, you're gonna have a good time, you should be able to act, talk, dress whatever you want. I go to Mexico. White people get to be as loud as they want to be on vacation when they get drunk.
Yeah.
I'm somewhere else. South Beach, but chill out, bro.
Again, going back to the system,
It made me think
they
that it
got
was gonna
dress
change
codes
it,
in
though.
place
Yeah.
to keep us out of
Wait.
the top
Absolutely.
restaurants.
Listen to
and
this. No.
bars.
Because they want your money, but they
Oh,
don't
no, you
necessarily
can't.
want you.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Listen, this happened years and years ago. Slim Thug is one of my close friends. At the time, he had 2 of the biggest songs in the country. He was hot, right? Underground rapper, whatever. We go to Mansion. We get to Mansion. They tell him, you can't get in because you have gold teeth in your mouth.
Wow.
This was back in the big white tee days, whatever. But I told him, I said, Thugger, bro, you got to put a little collar shirt on. So he put on a 9X collar shirt. It came down to here. You got to put it on. When we got there, the man in front literally told him, you can't get in because you had gold teeth.
What about if you didn't smile?
Exactly. When I was in Chicago, I was trying to go to some underground place. I tried to take the little young rookies out. The man at the front told the young dude, take your hat off. I want to see your hair. I told him, don't take your hat off. I said, what do you think is going to happen when he take his hat off? All type of guns and knives and shit is going to pop out? Like, you mean to tell me because of his hairstyle or his haircut, he can't get into this establishment? So there were numerous times where in the past, I thought trying to change, trying to come in milder, made a difference.
Yeah.
But just like you said, S.A., it doesn't, because that next person that comes behind you may not have that same mindset. And so they're coming in being their true Black selves. Again,
and
not
it'll be
violent,
defined as militant.
just trying to have a good time. But because you're from a different area, a different culture, whatever I do, the way I talk, it scares you.
Before we end this part, I want to get y'all thoughts, like final thoughts on the state of the NFL. You know, because this is a big deal, right? I like where's the NFL right now, and where do they go?
The NFL has long depended on its players not having a voice. When you ask them the difference, and you ask sports professionals the difference between the NBA and the NFL, the brand is led by the teams, right? In the NBA, it's player-led. So the players are the face of the league, and they've depended on that. So 4 years ago, they were taken back that, whoa, our players are speaking like without a script that we gave them. Our players are acting like LeBron, and we're not built for that. Our fan base doesn't believe in that. And so
Unless they're white,
but still on script. So now they're in a position where they've had to react. So even when you look at the Inspire Change, like that was their reaction to Kaepernick. That was the social justice campaign. You Google Inspire Change, they don't mention the word Black. They don't say racism. They say police and community relations. They refuse to say police brutality. So when we, 4 years ago, asked them to use these words, because when you water down our language, when you water down the language about these issues, you water down our experiences. So you're saying police and community relations. I'm saying police brutality because he's beating me. He's killing me. And now look at the players that did that video. That video was not powerful because it was players. It was powerful because it was the most powerful players in the league. And that was missing 4 years ago. There weren't a lot of big names that were doing the protests. We needed Tom Brady to kneel. We needed Aaron Rodgers to kneel.
Needed Brandon Marshall
We needed
to kneel.
Cam Newton to kneel. We
true.
needed
That's true.
those people because those are the people that can look at your team. If I'm a third string or a second string and my quarterback isn't doing it, why the hell am I going to do it? Like you said, like I got to feed my family. But there wasn't unity with the top tier players because that's who's going to do it. So when LeBron does something, everybody falls in line because he's like, I got it. I'm going to take the bullets for everybody. You guys didn't have that.
The NFL, because it's 32 teams and it's 32 different voices, the NFL was so like divided. The NBA, because it's led by the players, they came together and they had one movement. They all put on that shirt.
I can't breathe.
Right?
And all the
teams.
top players and all the top paid players are black. Very different. Very different than the NFL.
So Tanner, what's your final thoughts on the NFL?
When I look at it, and I've been wanting to say it the whole show, the NFL has basically structured everything that they do like America. If you think about it in a nutshell.
Oh.
I'm going to give you enough to be happy, but you can't do this. And that's why these folks are fed up. And that's why we're doing what we're doing with these silent protests. People are tired of you saying that you give me when we worked for this. We earned this. Our ancestors fought for this. Enough is enough. We're making enough money for you. We make this world what we make it, just like this league. All the players in the NFL, the guys that we just spoke on, most of the league is based on those black players. You know, these guys have went out there, 70% of them. They went out there and laid on the line and showed you how to be the top sports in the world. And you're still telling us that we can't do certain things because of what you believe in or what you feel.
To me, it's important that the league begins with a call of action. Players are going to have to create policies and plans, and not players with the assistance of teams, but players create call of action in terms of what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, how we're going to proceed. And that starts with leadership. It starts with the players and the biggest name players, the Drew Brees of the world, the Tom Brady's of the world. Imagine the support that the black community would get if they knelt.
I'm going to keep it simple about the state of the NFL moving forward and what I believe needs to happen and what I see is, number one, and I'm speaking to all the young men that made that video, from the Saquon to the OBJ to the Patrick Mahomes to all them boys. You already know, keep the main thing the main thing. Ball out, be ready to play, because that's what gives you the opportunity to have this platform. Number two, strategize, come together, be united. Number three, keep your foot on the gas pedal. Number four, it's really at the end of the day, it's all about money. They will convert and change. Don't worry about losing sponsorships. Once Nike see, okay, this Black Lives Matter thing, okay, let's make a shirt, let's make a whole sweatsuit Black Lives. They gonna convert and change. Small background story. Very, very small background story, and that's how I live my life right now. By the time I was 10 years old, I was bigger and stronger than my mama. I remember she tried to spank me. I looked at her like, what we doing? What are we doing right now? Right? So you know what she did? She said, okay, you act up in school, you get in trouble, I'm gonna make you wear the same clothes to school for the whole week. Every day I'm gonna take them home, I'm gonna wash them, so it's no neglect, there's no none of that. And I thought to myself, wait, I'm the coolest dude in the school. If I go back to school Tuesday, Thursday with the same outfit, the kids, blah, blah. She attacked what I cared about most. Those owners, what do they care about most?
Money.
Attack that. And keep attacking that. And that'll force them to change with you. Because at the end of the day, the elite, it ain't black or white, it's green.
Absolutely.
Right? I put out a post today, right? And I said, let's say we get rid of all people of color. Right? You middle class or lower end white people, I said, y'all gonna be the new punching bag, bro. And that's the truth. At the end of the day, that elite that has the power and that controls everything, they care about green. All these sponsorships, Nike, Adidas, all these companies, if they start seeing the trend go this way, they're gonna drop something and go ahead and roll with it, because at the end of the day, it's about the dollar bill.
Essay?
I think the NFL has to address these issues head on. You cannot continue to water it down. It's not police community relations. It's not social justice. It's attacking racism. It's attacking systemic oppression. It's attacking diversity in the quarterback position, in the coaching position. It's calling it what it is. And I think that is the next step for the NFL. We can't, this isn't PC and it's not politics. And for a long time, the NFL has wanted to make racism political. And it's not political, it's our lives, right? There is a right and wrong in certain things. It's not about we don't want to alienate. You should be comfortable alienating racists. You should be comfortable losing racist and oppressive fans. And until the NFL is willing to say, we don't want your money if you don't care about Black people, then they will not be on the right side of history.
We had to fight to get a meal, yeah. Wrongfully accused, we had to fight to get appeals. That's why we right to get a deal. He on the team, he gotta eat, you know, despite your skills. Keep it riding for the fam, you gotta light the wheels straight up. But in the past bad, work up in the trash bag. I'll pass a lot to take the test before I pass.